And this was the filing that never got ruled on, right?
I don't believe there was any ruling on this.
And that's because Dan Markell was killed before the hearing, right?
Welcome to the latest episode of my series, Why Wendi Adelson is Going Down. In this episode, we're going to discuss two reasons why she is going to go down, and they are because she is a thief and a coward. And it has to do with the motions that Dan Markell filed against her in the ongoing divorce. In this clip, Georgia has Wendi describe a filing Dan Markell had filed against Wendi.
Do you want me to read the title of the document?
Yes, please.
Former husband's counter motion to enforce marital settlement agreements, financial provisions, and incorporated motion for sanctions.
Do you remember this filing?
I don't remember this filing, but in anticipation of my testimony today, I refreshed and reread it.
Okay, and he accuses you in this filing of breaching the marital settlement agreement in various ways, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and committing a fraud upon the court by omitting the $200,000 in assets from your financial affidavit?
That is what he was alleging.
And asked the court to sanction you?
Yes, that's what he said.
Okay, so again, you're both seeking the court to sanction each other. I mean, them's fighting words and lawyer terms, right?
Well, I was filing a motion to enforce a settlement agreement, so I don't think that's really fighting words. That's just asking the court to complete what it already said it wanted to do.
Okay. And on page 379, Dan suggests that the court send a strong message about your malfeasance by awarding him the entirety of the undisclosed assets of over $200,000, right?
That is what he asked for.
Let's get a little into the motion that Dan filed. This summary is from the Tallahassee Democrat. It was filed on Valentine's Day. He claimed that Wendi filed a false and misleading financial disclosure form that shorted her assets by more than $240,000. He also said she raided the couple's safe deposit box, taking a 2-carat diamond ring belonging to Markell's late great-aunt, a Holocaust survivor. Dan also said Wendi was not a helpless character in the drama, and she helped herself to over $600,000 in cash, liquid equities, and other assets upon separation. But Dan wasn't done filing motions. After the motion in February, there was another motion filed in March, and it was for something additional. Let's take a listen here.
Then 6 days later, Dan files another motion seeking action against your mother, and that's the one we've already touched on. That's page 441. Is that right?
Page 441.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's what we talked about.
Okay, former husband's counter motion for enforcement of marital settlement agreement on parenting issues and motion for contempt and sanctions. Here he's alleging, again, more violations of the marital settlement agreement, including communication between he and the boys. He wasn't happy with how much communication was happening, failing to keep him informed of where his kids are, failure to communicate about parenting decisions like the kids' schooling, diet, and extracurricular activities, and refusal to provide him access to the kids on their birthdays. So he's complaining about a lot of things associated with this, not just money stuff, it's parenting stuff too, right?
That's right.
So not only is the motion regarding money, but it's also regarding some parental issues. And also it includes some sanctions and contempt. Now mind you, Wendi filed the initial document that filed for contempt, so surely as a lawyer she knows what contempt means, right? Let's take a look at this next clip and see.
All right, could you just read the title, the caption of that filing?
Motion to enforce marital settlement agreement and to show cause why the former husband should not be held in contempt of court.
What does it mean to be held in contempt of court?
It means not to be doing what the court has asked you to do.
What can happen to you if you're held in contempt of court?
I don't know, really.
Could you be jailed?
I don't know.
All right. And when was this filed? This was you filing it, right? I mean, you're the client.
Right.
You're asking that he be held in contempt. And
I
you don't know
filed
what
this-
that means?
I mean, at the time I filed, which was 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, refresh your recollection with the
Okay.
document. Goes through 340.
So there's Wendelier pretending she doesn't know what contempt is. So let's have someone explain it for us. This is Dan Markel's divorce attorney, and he will explain it. He will also explain what he thought was going to happen based on the motion that Dan filed for contempt and sanctions.
So there were a bunch of issues still going on.
Yes.
It was hot at the time.
Yes.
All right. And there was some suggestion that Dan Markel was expected to lose all the filings that were currently pending at the time of his death, and Wendi was expected to prevail on everything. Do you agree with that assessment?
You mean like with the contempt and all of that?
Yeah.
No, I mean I would not have got involved if I thought he was going to lose on the contempt. You know, my reputation travels with my clients too if they're doing things like that, right? I mean, if you're representing a client who is disrespecting the court, you know, it's hard not to feel like that's bleeding off on you and you're disrespecting the court. And in Tallahassee, Florida, if you practice in this circuit, you know, if I disrespect Judge Everett today, you know, every judge in this circuit that matters to me is going to know about it before lunch tomorrow. And it's just, no. So, no, I would not have accepted. That's why I didn't think I was going to take the case when I read all that.
Seeking contempt is kind of a big deal amongst lawyers, right?
Yes. I mean, you know, contempt is, you know, it's a very ugly kind of prospect. And as a lawyer, that was one of my main concerns is, you know, she was a lawyer. And I did feel like she should be held in contempt. She didn't disclose things on her financial affidavit, and Dan convinced me of that.
But that was to be determined, right?
But
by a court.
Yes, but in my mind,
Yes.
that was the only reason I took it.
Okay.
And, you know, at the end of the day, you can lose your law license for that. You know, I mean, I guess you would have to report that to the bar. I didn't research it, but the court would refer it to the bar. If the court found you were in contempt, the court would refer it to the bar, and, you know, you could lose your law license. So, yeah, it's pretty serious, you know, in that regard.
So, in my opinion, Wendi thought Dan had to be killed because A, she did not want it to come out in court that she potentially hid money or stole things from Dan, and additionally, if that was found true, that she would be held in contempt of court. There's no way she could have that happen. I think that's why George is asking these questions now, and I think that's why she'll ask them in her trial. Now, there are additional things in those motions regarding Grandma Gotti, Donald Adelson, that I didn't really talk about, but those will come up in her trial. So, I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think I got something here? Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks, everybody.
Give me 2 taps and a Ric Flair.